So generally when I think about this subject, I think of three C's. Confessions of faith act as a confirmation of the Word of God. Secondly, confessions of faith help us to see continuity as the people of God. And then thirdly, if we have a confession of faith, we don't have many confessions of faith. So let me just take a moment and deal with each one of those. So confessions of faith act as a confirmation for the Word of God. So every Christian says, I believe the Bible. That's great. What do you believe about the Bible? Oh, okay. So the moment people start doing that is the moment they're expressing their confession as a Christian. This is what I believe. And to have a confession that has already put forth, to use the language of the London Baptist Confession of Faith, those things most surely believed among us, is very helpful. It's important in our day, again, that we understand that these confessions weren't just written because our Reformed Baptist forefathers or our Westminster Divine forefathers just wanted to write, but they were standing against error. They're standing against heresy. So they had to say, here's what we believe about Christ and covenants and Sabbath and regulative worship, etc. So the confessions are a confirmation of the truth we believe and the truths we believe out of the Word of God. So very helpful. Most churches will have a statement of faith. A Broad Evangelical Church, that's our statement of faith. It's one page, be happy with that and move on. But because we're Reformed, in that sense, we do like to write. And the Reformers and the Reformed Baptists, they wrote these confessions of faith, which have been very helpful for the churches. So it's a confirmation of the truth. But that leads me, secondly, into the second C of continuity. So it's important as Reformed Baptists that we understand that we're not new kids on the block. And it's important that people know that there are Reformed Baptists. There's actually these guys who existed for hundreds of years. So that when I give out the 1689 London Baptist Confession of Faith to people who visit the church, I say, you see that number 1689? I say, that's not the word count. That's actually the year it was written. So there were Baptists there in the 1600s, 17th century who actually held to these great reformational truths. So super helpful in that regard. So those first two C's, again, a confirmation of the Word of God, and then continuity, like, wow, we're not, again, the first people to believe in election. The Baptists have always believed in that. And then finally, the final C is that if we have a confession of faith as a church, we have a confession of faith. We're all confessing the same thing. I tell people, if you don't have a confession, you've got many confessions. And we don't want many confessions in the church. We want a body of divinity, hence the 1689 or Westminster or Savoy. So we want to say as a church, this is what we confess together. Paul speaks in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, I believe verse 10, about speaking the same thing. And we need to speak the same thing. So that's very comforting and reassuring for us as Reformed Baptists, and again, as those who hold to the Westminster standards, etc., because they say, you know, everyone in the church, we believe the same thing. Now, again, there might be some variations here and there, especially if it's end times, that type of thing. But in the main, we are, 99% as churches speaking the same thing. So I think that for any Baptist church, with reference to our specific confession of faith, I think it would be a tremendous help to any local church to embrace the confession, to teach their people about the confession. And what's so glorious about our confession is that it continues to grow in its popularity. There are many, many churches that are adopting now the 1689 London Baptist Confession of Faith. So it brings great joy to my heart for those various reasons that I've set forth. And I pray that the new exposition is a blessing to Reformed Baptist churches around the world, but not just Reformed Baptist churches, even Paedo-Baptist churches. In that, I mean that for me, when I teach from our confession of faith, I've got 9 or 10 expositions of the Westminster, starting firstly with Robert Shaw. That was produced, I believe, in the 70s by CFP, Christian Focused Publications, who now, many, many years later would produce mine, which is a Reformed Baptist one, you see. So the point is that as Baptists, Reformed Baptists, we're using everything Presbyterian we can get, So I hope that the Presbyterians or Paedo-Baptists, whatever type of Paedo-Baptist group it might be, would also look at our exposition, this new one, and say, you know what, it's really helpful, it's really good. It's excellent for teaching, it's homiletical, full of applications, And I had some of my favorite Paedo-Baptist guys endorse it, like Ian Hamilton and Dr. Beakey and Derek Thomas, etc. So for those reasons, I think it'll be a help to many people around the world.